The central purpose of today's engagement is to introduce the project to key stakeholders, secure your commitment, and build foundation for effective collaboration with ANED and our project partners in delivering its objectives. Through today's deliberations, we hope to reinforce partnerships, clarify rules, and ensure that this project responds directly to Nigerians' urgent priorities of tackling illicit financial flow, enhancing transparency and disclosures around asset recovery and management issues. Illicit financial flows continue to drain Nigeria of much needed resources for development. Each year, billions of dollars leave our economy through corruption, tax evasion, money laundering, and other financial crimes. These outflow weaken our institutions, deprive citizens of essential services, and erode public trust in governance. The scale is staggering. The African Union estimated that the continent loses about $150 billion annually to illicit financial flows, with Nigeria accounting for significant share. Between 2001 and 2010 alone, Nigeria reportedly lost about $40 billion. More recent assessments show that nearly 20% of African annual losses can be traced to Nigeria. These figures underscore why our country continues to struggle with poor human development outcomes, despite its immense resources wealth. To be clear, progress has been made. Evidence from recovered assets over the past 8 years show that Nigeria is making inroad in the recovery of assets from both domestic and foreign jurisdictions to boost its resources mobilization drive. This is happening through existing frameworks and collaboration of the international community as reflected in the provision of United Nations Conventions Against Corruption, UNCAC. The commitments made at the London Anti-Corruption Summit in 2016, the Global Forum on Asset Recovery, GIFA principles, and other mechanisms, Nigeria has taken steps to strengthen its response, including enacting Proceeds of Crime Recovery and Management Act 2022 and entering into international agreements that have facilitated the recovery of significant sum from Abacha asset to more recent recovery linked to high-profile corruption cases. We are encouraged to come in at this point to contribute to strengthening asset recovery and management framework. Furthermore, Nigeria has made commendable strides towards addressing strategic deficiency in its anti-money laundering and counter-terrorism financing framework. Since being placed on the Financial Action Task Force Green List in February 2023, the country has substantially completed its Fatal Action Plan, addressing 13 out of 15 action items. This progress includes the establishment of a beneficial ownership registry, enhanced supervision of high-risk sectors, improved financial intelligence sharing, and greater interagency cooperation. As of the June 2025 Fatal Plenary, Nigeria has been cleared for on-site assessment, the final step before potential removal from green list. This marks a critical milestone in Nigeria's global strategy, standing, and reaffirms our collective commitment to international standards in combating illicit finance. The goal of this project is to contribute to tackle illicit financial flow through asset recovery and management, while also countering money laundering, terrorism financing, and proliferation of financing. Our objectives are threefold: to advocate for transparency, accountability, and citizens' participation in the asset recovery and management process to achieve the effective confiscation regime in Nigeria, to contribute to reducing IFFs in Nigeria's extractive sector, and to support the MBA and MBA Anti-Money Laundering Committee to deepen the implementation of action plan to mitigate money laundering, financial, and PF proliferation financing risks. What makes this project particularly significant is its emphasis on multi-stakeholder collaboration. That is why we have brought all of you here today to introduce the project to you and discuss collaboration to implement the project. We have made effort to reach out to some stakeholders before this meeting, and we will continue to reach out to more stakeholders after the meeting By scaling up civil society interventions, the project seeks to promote constructive engagement with government institutions, advocate for reforms to tackle illicit financial flows, strengthen asset recovery framework, monitor the utilization of recovered assets, raise public awareness on the issues, and contribute to effort to counter money laundering, financing of terrorism, and proliferation financing. It is important to stress that the fight against illicit financial flow cannot be won by any single institutions or sector. It requires a coordinated effort that brings together government, civil society, the private sector, development partners, and the media. By the end of today's inception meeting, it is our hope that we will have a shared understanding of the project and how we can work together to respond to the issues targeted within the project. Most importantly, we expect that the discussion today will strengthen collaboration, highlight areas of partnership, provide a clearer roadmap for the project implementation, and a united front in tackling illicit financial flows in Nigeria. We also wish to take this opportunity to once again express our sincere gratitude to the United Kingdom's Foreign, Commonwealth and Development Office, FCDO, for their invaluable support and partnership in making this project possible. Thank you.
Of national and global significance, the scourge of illicit financial flows, asset theft, and money laundering. Illicit financial flows, as already highlighted, are not abstract statistics. They represent stolen opportunities, lost revenues in cash and kind, opportunities to build schools, hospitals, roads, jobs, employment opportunities, and the chance to address security challenges ravaging developing countries, including Nigeria. Global statistics have been very vocal on how much money IFF has cost a country like Nigeria and other countries in Africa. At the very heart of these outflows is the extractive industry, oil, gas, and mining industry. The challenges of opacity, corruption, and governance, misgovernance of the sector, are the major sources of illicit financial flows and capital flight. That's why there is a very strong linkage between IFF, asset recovery, and the issues we are dealing with in the extractive industry. If we do not close these loopholes in the oil, gas, and mining sector, asset recovery will remain a revolving door, recovering what is stolen today only to lose them tomorrow. At NAITI, our mandate is to shine the light where it's darkest by demanding full public disclosure of what is earned, what is paid, and what is spent in the extractive industry. Through our independent industrial reports, policy intervention briefs, and data-driven advocacy, we provide evidence-based information and data on Nigeria's ability to trace, block, and recover illicit flows. I'm also pleased to highlight that Nigeria is not fighting this battle alone. In recognition of all the efforts being made by government, civil society, development partners in this country in this specific challenge, I was recently elected as a co-chair of the West African Beneficial Ownership Transparency Network, an initiative set up by ECOWAS in the ECOWAS member states to curb illicit financial flows through greater and deeper disclosure of who owns what and controls what in the extractive industry. Share intelligence blocks safe havens for illicit capital flights across our borders within the West African sub-region. The headquarters of this initiative at the moment is in Dakar, Senegal. The election of Nigeria executive secretaries of NAITI into this leadership position is clear, in recognition of NAITI's credibility, consistency, and impact in pushing the boundaries of transparency, accountability at home and abroad in natural resource governance. It also means that Nigeria carries a responsibility to lead by example, and that is why I am here today, to align with key partners like ANEJ. But government and the civil society cannot fight this alone. Other partners must find a space in this battle. Let me use this opportunity to commend African Network for Environment and Economic Justice, ANEJ, for its deepened partnership with NAITI over the years. Together, we have collaborated in many specific areas. ANEJ's consistency in holding government to account, holding companies to account, fighting for environment and building coalitions has been a source of inspiration. And today's project is another opportunity, an open window to test our leadership working together. NAITI stands ready to expand this partnership further, not only on asset recovery, but also on tax governance, track contract disclosures, environmental accountability, especially tracking host community development trusts. Distinguished colleagues, the fight against IFF is not only a choice, it's a necessity for our survival. Each illicit dollar or naira lost to secrecy and corruption is a direct assault on our development goals and initiatives. Asset recovery is not just about bringing money back. It's about building systems and institutions strong enough to prevent, frustrate, and resist future losses. At NAITI, we pledge our full cooperation with this project and all the stakeholders gathered here. We will bring fully to the table our ability and capability to provide data. Our current industry reports, our convening power in government, civil society, and across development partners, our policy influence, and our ability to deliver impact and visible results. Let us therefore use this inception meeting not just to launch a new project, but to deepen and widen collaboration, collective resolve to make things work. This project has to get all the support we need to succeed. Let it be said that from here in Abuja, government, civil society, and development partners have forged a united front to wage war against illicit financial flows for the benefit of all Nigerians and Africa at large. Once again, I commend ANEJ, and I thank all of you that have already led
the Foreign and Commonwealth Office to deliver this project. As has already been said, this project is aimed to address both prevention, detection, and asset recovery to the extent that we could use it then to tackle illicit financial flows in different areas of work. illicit financial flow, and I'm sure has been repeated, is something that is, of course, if you like, undermining African development, not just Nigeria, across Africa, and not only in Africa, in many other parts of the world. But it's also closely linked to money laundering, it's closely linked to counter-financing of terrorism, it's closely linked to all the fraud-related issues. There's something about illicit financial flows. Whenever it's said, it has this very vague context, and we must always contextualize it. I did a work for the Transparency International around this issue, and one of the things we realized was that because whenever we use IFF, everybody's like, what is IFF? It's too complex for many people. It's too vague. So we need to break it down and understand what it means for us who live this every day. What it means essentially is that our resources is being taken away. Period. Let's get it right. Our resources, your resources and mine, are being taken out of either from Nigeria or from other African countries. How it is taken out is the big issue. So when we say IFL, let's have it at the back of our mind that we are dealing with money laundering, we are dealing with terrorist financing, we are dealing with terrorism, we are dealing with fraud, we are dealing with even cybercrime. All of that sits under IFF. And so once we understand it, it becomes easier for us to say, okay, what are we dealing with? What we are dealing with here is a high-level contextual crime. Now, when Daiti was talking about the extractive sector, you understand the amount of money Nigeria is losing every day from the extractive sector. That, again, could give you an idea of where IFF is coming from. But that is really why the UK FCDO thought it was very critical that we find a way to address the problem. We can't address all the problem. Other people, other development partners are doing their bit here and there. The thing is that, can we find a space where we can contribute something to? Again, this is what this project is all about. Let's contribute whatever we can contribute. See if we can have some level of impact. Maybe in the extractive sector, African Center is working closely with the Nigerian Bar Association. And why are we doing that? Because Bar Association or lawyers are recognized as professional enablers in a way. Not only them, but most professional bodies, accounting, lawyers, estate agents. And why is that? Because Financial Action Task Force has come to realize that there are typologies of ways how funds are laundered. And on top of that list is that we have attorneys, that is private attorneys could potentially be enablers. People now use enablers. But what it is that these are professions that may be used unwittingly. Some of them may not even know that they are being used. They could be used unwittingly to advance money laundering. And so when it comes to that situation, we need to know how do we tackle the problem. So part of this project is to work with the Nigerian Bar Association as a self-regulatory body. And I hope it's been recognized now under the Money Laundering Law Act. Felix will tell us some more. So in that sense, as a self-regulatory body, the MPA is supposed to monitor and work with its members. And so we are providing technical assistance to what is called the Nigerian Bar Association Anti-Money Laundering Committee. If you go to MPA AML portal, you will see the work that is being done. So I would advise you go there because it will give you more information about the work this work started like almost 7-8 months ago. And the MPA have started to supervise Nigerian lawyers for anti-money laundering related issues. So it has significant impact for Nigeria because this is the first time it's being done, and we need to record that really it was through the support of UK FCDO that we were able to get to this stage. The second element for us is the issue of providing technical support to the various asset recovery related entities in Nigeria, something like Debbie has spoken to. We are going to do our best. We're going to do technical needs assessment, and we're going to provide series of training. Our hope is that following that training, that our, investigators, prosecutors within that sector will become more aligned with what the Process of Crime Act has provided. Because Nigeria, for the first time now, have what I would consider 90% comprehensive Process of Crime Act. But how do we engage with that act? Even for public civil society organizations, because it's not only government, that act has a space for CSOs. And that space means that you can come in, you can do research with the act, you can do training with the act for CSOs. You can also begin to look at what's happening with whether it's domestic related return assets. Because each time we're talking about foreign assets, those ones are the ones that have left Nigeria and is trying to come in. What about the ones that have left that is in Nigeria that we also need to monitor? So I'm going to encourage civil society organizations to get into this business, look at the Process of Crime Act. And I think part of this project is also to create that awareness of what the Act is all about and how we can best engage with the Act. I'm not going to say more than what I've said so far because I think there will be a technical session and I want to...
Jehaze Khan, JK, who is the illicit finance advisor for the FCDO, and on behalf of the High Commissioner, I bring you good tidings from the British High Commission, FCDO. Let me start by mentioning that the UK government has a long history of collaborating with stakeholders in Nigeria in the global effort against financial crime. And just like Juliet has mentioned, together we have made significant strides since the return of democracy in 1999 towards building effective law enforcement agencies that are able to better detect, investigate, and prosecute anti-corruption and economic crimes. It is important to mention that we have maintained close partnership with law enforcement agencies in Nigeria to cooperate on joint investigations and to tackle shared threats. Many of the challenges we face are shared and deeply interconnected through the global nature of modern financial crime. Asset recovery for us is a central pillar in this effort. Confiscating and recovering the proceeds of crime are essential to leveraging sanctions against offenders and securing justice for victims. Victims, like Juliet has mentioned and Reverend also emphasized, is you and I. Evidence has shown that putting stolen assets towards the delivery of public goods and service is the best way to ensuring anti-corruption efforts deliver for ordinary citizens. The UK and Nigeria have both made great strides in this area. This includes our respective proceeds of crime legislations and the active asset recovery efforts pursued by our law enforcement agencies, most of whom are here today. Importantly, both the UK and Nigeria have both recognized the importance of international collaboration on asset recovery and are both signatories to the Global Forum of Asset Recovery. This establishes key global standards and cooperation instruments on asset recovery. These measures lay important groundwork, but further efforts are also needed to ensure asset recovery is efficient, accountable, and well coordinated. Such initiative is what this project is laid out to do, which are some of the activities that you get to see in the course of this event. On the part of returning countries, returns have not progressed at the speed initially expected, and coordination around them have been challenging. Complex legal disputes and resourcing gap in law enforcement agencies have contributed to these challenges. On the part of recipient countries, asset recovery processes can often seem obscure and lacking in coordination. We hope to make a small contribution to these challenges through this project. Through partnership with key law enforcement bodies, we hope to build the capacity of asset recovery units to meet the high ambition on asset recovery set forth in the Proceeds of Crime Act. Furthermore, it will provide technical assistance to improve coordination and transparency across the asset recovery ecosystem through partnership with the Ministry of Justice and civil society. Recent effort by the Ministry of Justice to develop a central database to recover assets mark a key milestone in this effort. Equally important to efforts to strengthen recovery of the proceeds of crime are stemming illicit flow at their sources, finding and targeting the vulnerables that sustain these flows. As part of this project, we are happy to be exploring partnership with the extractive industries to better understand and address new and emerging risks in the extractive sector. This marks another step forward in the UK's long-standing engagement with the AET process. On this note, ladies and gentlemen, we look forward to working with every one of you here in this room through this project with the coordination of ANIJ and African Center. And we thank you for your time. And like we always say, wish you good luck.
The African Center for Governance and Asset Recovery, and also the UK FCDO, they've continued to lend their expertise and advocacy in the fight against corruption, and has been of great support to the ministry in the course of the discharge of its assignment in the sphere of asset recovery. Having said that, the Federal Ministry of Justice is very much delighted to be part of this important inception meeting on Nigeria Illicit Finance Resilience Project. Today marks another milestone in our collective determination to strengthen Nigeria's capacity to combat illicit financial flows and recover stolen assets to the benefit of our people. Illicit financial flows, like we all know, remain one of the most significant threats to sustainable development, governance, and national security. They drain public resources, weaken institutions, and undermine citizens' trust in government. Nigeria, like many other developing economies, have had to bear this heavy cost of illicit financial flows and other corrupt practices. It is therefore imperative that we continue to forge strategic partnerships like this to collaborate and ensure that illicit financial wealth are traced, recovered, and repurposed for national development. Together, we can ensure that stolen resources are not only recovered, but are invested in critical sectors like education, development of infrastructures, and other areas that will benefit the larger society of Nigerians. Let me assure you on behalf of the Federal Ministry of Justice and the Honorable Attorney General of the Federation of the Ministry of Justice continued support, cooperation and coordination to ensure that this project and the initiative achieves its purpose. We are not mindful of the fact that the journey is not going to be easy in the fight against corruption, but be rest assured that with all of us collaborating together and working together as a people determined, we will definitely achieve that cause of victory over corrupt tendencies. Thank you very much.